All right, everybody, thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, from realtors, lenders, builders, developers, residential or commercial. Essentially, gathering insight, inspiration really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else in what I consider a real estate titan. Our very special guest and featured titan for today, Christy Dunfee. Christy, thanks so much for taking the time. I'm super excited about this one. I know so many other people in anticipation for it, so let's just dive into the series of questions for everybody to get to know you more personally, professionally, the whole nine. So go ahead and tell everybody a little about yourself, I guess.
So I'm a bit of an Okie.
Okay.
Born in Oklahoma, and my accent comes out when I'm mad. So if you ever hear me yelling, you will definitely know I'm from the South.
Not on this episode.
Not on this episode.
Not here. No.
I've lived in a lot of different places. I'm a bit of a military brat. So
Okay.
my dad retired Air Force. My stepdad retired Army. And we moved around a lot in the United States. So 13 different schools in 12 years. I know it's crazy, right?
That's unreal.
Yeah, a lot of different schools. So that's kind of like when I was growing up, and I've actually been married for 24 years to the same guy even. Same guy.
This is great.
I know, right? We have two kids, 24 and 17, and I'm going to be a grandma. G. Christy right here.
This is awesome. This is great news. Congrats. That's
Thanks.
huge. So, and I think that's wonderful. Just before we go into the business side of that, as you were growing up and changing, that many schools in that time frame, at least for me, and I have a little bit of understanding with that, traveling around, is it's made you who you are. I mean, opening up to people, making new friends, situations, right?
It's very different when you go to that many schools throughout that kind of time frame. You really have to figure out, talking to people and learning and making friends and being able to move past things when you just need to let things go, you know. It was definitely a learning experience for me, and I take that to a positive way, for sure.
I love that.
So.
Okay, so let's get into the business side of it.
All
so
right.
What got you into the business? What was kind of your progression into that?
I used to manage apartment complexes in town, so I did that all over town. So if you guys, I've managed all the apartments in town just about. Did that for 13 years. It's probably one of the hardest jobs. If you property managers out there, you know this. If you've done apartments, it's very difficult.
This is the honest truth, everybody.
Very, very difficult job. And I did it for 13 years. I experienced lots of craziness within that, and it was kind of a natural progression to move over into real estate.
Okay.
A lot more fun, too. So property managers, you might want to look at making that move.
Christy's contact information will be below.
I'm just saying.
In case. So, what was your transition and thought process into the residential side, and what did that look like all the way through?
I had started school, but I wasn't really doing anything with it, and then we had to sell our house.
Okay.
And by the end of selling our house, because of course I wasn't licensed, I had to use somebody. By the end of it, I was like, all right, I got the bug, let's do this. And finally just went ahead and passed my test, and that was it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. And
fantastic.
Here you are now through your process and the reputation that you have in this community, which is fantastic, by the way. And again, just so everybody knows, because this question has been coming up quite a bit frequently, is what's going on with the Titans and what makes them a Titan. I mean, there's so many different layers to it. It's not just production or overall volume or commission. It's impact and legacy and what differences they're making locally and also nationally in the real estate realm. So I appreciate you being on the show for sure, Christy.
Thank you.
But let's go into the next question, which ends up being, what's your why? I mean, what motivates you to do what you do to the level you do it?
I really want to help people, so it's about building wealth and financial freedom for everybody. It's not just getting them into a house, but people who own homes are wealthier than people who do not own homes, and so that's really important to me. It's also being a military brat and seeing the sacrifices like my own stepdad has made for his country. It's important for me to help the military. So like, I have a client, his name is Jimmy. If you're watching, Jimmy, I know you will be.
Hey, Jimmy.
He's building a ranch down in Pueblo. We sold him a house. He's building a ranch to help service animals because, I don't know if you know this, but service animals can't go to a dog park like other dogs. They're not allowed to. I didn't know that either until the last couple years. So he's actually building a park at his home for other service animals to come to, and so we support him, very much so. And endeavor there to create that. So
Fantastic.
that kind of stuff is my why. It gets me, going.
Okay, and that's big, and that's talking about community and helping others, and that really matters. And again, to everybody, we're not all created equal, and there's really a difference between the Titans and everybody else that's out there. It's not just about that commission. It really is making an impact. So that's a really good why and beautiful one to go through. So let's go into the advisory portion, I guess, of this particular series. And there's a lot of seasoned professionals, but also some newer ones who watch the series and trying to get some insight from the Titans and what they do to grow their business. So if you could look back thus far, what you added, a few things that you added to take your business from one level to the next, what does that look like?
I think that for me, it was seeking out mentors when I first started who I knew the business inside and out. And so, a couple kind of heavy hitters that I worked with before I started my own team was Derek Wagner, Charles D'Alessio.
Okay.
I learned a lot being on their teams and being able to close so many deals, and just, the number of transactions I was doing, really, dig in and learn. I also, when I first got in the business, was on a team that forced me, not very willingly at that time, to write 50 pretend contracts. And I had to 50.
Okay.
So I had to keep writing contracts and writing contracts and writing contracts until I knew those contracts inside and out. So that was a big deal.
Okay.
Finding people who are going to push you and make those right decisions, and get you out of your comfort zone.
I love that you mentioned that, and just so everybody knows, we had a quick conversation before we went live, and that was something that was crucially important that you mentioned, was having those people in your life that are pushing you and motivating you, those mentors, and being a mentee, and then changing that relationship. Obviously, you're mentoring lots of people and have in your life, but that's kind of you giving back. But it is so important.
Yeah. And I just moved over to a different real estate company, and they're definitely taking me out of my comfort zone again. And so sometimes that's hard, but it's needed.
Okay.
It helps you grow.
I think so all day long. So on the growth note and that portion, this is kind of the tricky question of the series, really, to get to know you a little bit better. It's a challenge question.
Okay.
So Christy, if you could look back at your life thus far and pick or choose a challenge or two that you dealt with, that you overcame, that made you stronger because of it, what does that look like?
I think there's a couple things. One is, obviously having gone to so many different schools, 13 schools in 12 years, that isn't a challenge in itself. I've had other friends who, had that same childhood, and it made them kind of pull back and not really want to know about other people. And for me, I learned so much more about people that I can talk to anybody now and strike a conversation with anybody.
Okay.
The other thing is that I grew up very poor. My parents didn't have anything, and my mom was divorced when I was 5 years old.
Wow.
And seeing the struggles has definitely instilled in me a work ethic that is super, super strong. I will work very, very hard to make sure I'm in a place where I don't have those same struggles.
Wow.
So
unreal.
That's
those are tough challenges to deal with, and we kind of addressed the moving around. That is not easy. And this just as well as a lot of other professionals out there. Moving your home and changing friends or schools, even in a local spot, is tough.
Yeah.
Let alone doing it all over the world and all over the United States. That's just one thing. But again, the positive note is it made you better, more talkative, more outgoing, able to do those things. Now, the not growing up with everything at your fingertips, that's something that I find to be a reoccurring message for a lot of top professionals in the world, is because they have that hunger.
Yep.
They say, I don't never want to deal with this again. I'm going through, and it's making not only your life better, but your family and then your future into that. I think that's beautiful.
It definitely it can push you one direction or the other, and I'm the type of person where I'm not going to let stuff get me down,
Right.
So I've fallen flat on my face tons of times. Just get back up and keep going, because you got to do it.
Wow.
So
this is great, everybody. So Christy, thanks so much for sharing that. It's not easy to do, to air that out for everybody watching. So hopefully everybody appreciates that.
We all have struggles.
That's right, and that's so true, whether it's in the past, now, or in the future. So I think that's really, really important for everybody to know that someone has it worse, that there's always things to go through, and just appreciate it. Appreciate what you have. So let's go into a slightly softer
Okay,
question,
okay.
everybody.
Right.
All right. So if you could travel back in time and give your young self a piece of advice or two at any time frame, what would you say to young Christy?
You know what I think the biggest thing is, especially in school, people being bullied, is don't worry about other people's opinions. Only opinion that matters is your own. So I think that if you could go back and tell yourself that, I mean, how much further along would you be?
I love that. I think that there's too many people that are focused on what others think or what they feel. And I get it. We all deal with this social struggle, but I think if we all understood that at a younger age, we'd be more focused on what makes us happy and passion and go through it and not necessarily care. So now everybody's going to like us and now everybody has to.
Exactly.
Right? Hopefully everybody, at least a lot of people like us here, but So
not too many haters on there.
That's right. They're always going to hate. So, but I think that's great advice, not just for young Chrissy, but for everybody else who's watching, myself included. I think that's really great stuff. So let's go into the feeding of the mind portion, because there's a lot of viewers who really enjoy this segment to try to learn and grow like the Titans do specifically. So, looking at it from what books you're reading, podcasts you're listening to, or influencers on social media, what really feeds your mind?
So for me, I am reading one book, The Traveler's Gift, and then I'm going to read, there's 2 set in that series now, so I'm into that right now.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of time to sit down and read.
Sure.
But, who I'm following, there's a lady, the Real Estate Whisperer on YouTube, and she's hilarious. I think she's really funny, so I follow her. And then I follow Jake Hinder and Michael Reese with NAEA, because I've been a member of that association for 5 years, and they're amazing. And now I'm teamed up with them a little bit in my new venture here in real estate. So it's been kind of exciting. But
Okay, and I love that.
And Michael Reese does an awesome podcast that he does.
Going back into that, so with podcasts, what I like about what you mentioned is that you're being very genuine for everybody out there, that you don't have a lot of time to actually sit and read, but you're consuming the information in ways that make sense. Podcasts, YouTube, I mean, really just getting it in there is the most important thing.
Yeah. Well, and seeing other people be able to just put themselves out there has helped me to be able to put myself out there too. I mean, because I do a lot of video too.
Which I love, by the way. If you haven't seen them, you got to get on Facebook.
I'm
everybody.
always on, and you know what? People are so scared all the time to get on and do it, and just do it. Just have fun with it.
Right.
You're going to mess up. It's okay.
Real advice. Real advice, everybody. So that's really good stuff. As everybody knows, I'll put the links in the comments down below so that you can feed your mind the same way that Christy does. So that was great stuff. This has been chock full of information. It's been going a million miles an hour, everybody. So I definitely want to wrap this up with the last question.
Okay.
And this is really the mantra quote portion. So if you could sum up yourself as a person, a professional, as a brand with a mantra quote, what does that look like for Christy Dunfee?
My personal favorite quote is happiness is a choice. And I'll tell you, my kids do not like me when I tell them that.
They're like, Mom, come on.
Mom, but it's true. Happiness is a choice. And, we all have things that get us down. We all have things that get in the way of our lives every day. And I think you have to make that choice to be happy. So
I
make
think
that choice every day.
For me, that's a beautiful quote. And maybe your kids are upset because they hear it all the time. I think it's awesome. And it comes down to a mindset.
It does. It's definitely a mindset.
That is, more people can take that away and just try to be on the more positive side. And we all deal with issues and challenges, but try to look at things better.
Doesn't mean I don't get in a bad mood. It just means that I'll try to move on past it.
Because the accent comes out when Christy is unhappy. That is true. So, Christy, this has been amazing. Thanks again so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're an official real estate titan.
Oh my gosh.
So this is great. Everybody, thanks so much for your time and attention, love and support.
Thanks for watching.
We'll catch you guys every Tuesday, Friday afternoon, different Titan, different location. We'll catch you on the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care.